7 or 8, I think it was, you know. And I used to sing in the shower, like, and my mum would say, Bon, if you can't sing proper songs, shut up, you know, don't sing this rock and roll garbage, you know. And now, of course, she loves it very much, you know.
The official story of Bon Scott's death is rock and roll's biggest lie. He didn't just drink himself to death. Many believe he was left to die of a heroin overdose in a freezing car by a witness who promptly vanished for decades. We will show you the shocking evidence that this accident was a panicked cover-up and how Bon's own stolen notebooks were allegedly used to write Back in Black, the album that made AC/DC legends right after he was put in the ground.
The other boys of the band say that you're great, but a little special. Do you know what they mean by that?
I'm a special drunkard. I drink too much.
What do you think they really mean?
I don't know. It could be anything coming from them.
Do you feel you're a star?
No, I see stars sometimes.
The story given to the police is disturbingly simple. A night of heavy drinking at the Music Machine Club involving a friend named Alistair Kinnear, and a drive home, Bon allegedly passes out. Kinnear, unable to move him, supposedly leaves him in the car to sleep it off. The next afternoon, Bon is discovered, not sleeping, but dead. The case immediately closed, ruled a death by misadventure. However, for many, this verdict just didn't sit right. This wasn't just any rocker. This was Bon Scott. And the band he fronted, AC/DC, was on the absolute brink of becoming the biggest band in history. They were in London writing their next album. The timing wasn't just tragic, it was suspiciously convenient. To understand the mystery, you have to understand the man. Bon was the ultimate larrikin, the charming working-class poet with a bottle of Jack in one hand and a microphone in the other. He was the rock and roll dream. But for a man who lived so publicly, he kept his real demons locked away. The official report focuses only on alcohol, but this is the story's first great lie. Multiple insiders, including close friends, insist Bon was using heroin. This changes everything. It transforms the narrative from a simple, drunken mistake to a dark, complex overdose scenario that multiple people had a powerful motive to cover up. Let's talk about the scandal. When Highway to Hell was released, it caused moral panic. The album title, The Lightning Bolt, the devil horns Bon wore on stage. Religious groups were outraged. Bon himself reportedly felt haunted by the success, joking to friends he'd made a deal with the devil. In the 70s rock scene, where the occult was more than just a stage prop, this added a terrifying new layer to his sudden death. So who was Alistair Kinnear? This is the man who holds the key. He wasn't a close friend, not a band insider. He was an acquaintance, a casual friend of Bon's companion that night, Silver Smith. And after Bon's death, this key witness vanished. He gave a few conflicting statements and then disappeared from the face of the earth for decades. Kinnear's story is full of holes. He claimed Bon was snoring when he left him, but modern investigations suggest Bon died much earlier. Furthermore, why leave him in a freezing car? It was winter in London. The temperature dropped to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, -4 degrees Celsius. This wasn't just negligence, it was a death sentence. Here's where another rock legend enters the story. Just days before his death, Bon was crashing with Pete Way, the bassist for the notorious band UFO, himself a legendary partier, described Bon's state as frightening, even for him. He said Bon was on a dark spiral, mixing heroin and alcohol, pushing himself past the limit. Bon's body was found on Tuesday. By Friday, he had been embalmed and was on a plane back to Australia. The speed was breathtaking. The official inquest was a formality. Why the rush? Why was a full, detailed autopsy and toxicology, one that would have confirmed or denied heroin, never made public? The band was a machine. A heroin overdose would have destroyed their working-class lads who like a drink image. It would have meant canceled tours, visa problems in America, and the end of their career. A tragic drinking accident, however, was something they could survive. Was Bon's legacy sacrificed to protect the brand? Enter the mystery woman. Kinnear's first call wasn't to the police or an ambulance. It was allegedly to this woman, Margaret Silver Smith. She was known in the rock scene, and she was the one who allegedly supplied Bon with drugs that night. Did Kinnear and Silver panic, realizing Bon had overdosed, and conspire to invent the passed-out drunk story, leaving him to die rather than face the consequences? This is the bombshell. Bon's family and friends swear he was meticulously writing lyrics for the new album. A notebook filled with his ideas allegedly vanished from his apartment after his death. The band, meanwhile, claims he hadn't written a single word. Then, just months later, AC/DC releases Back in Black. The lyrics are filled with themes of death, resurrection, and hell. Classic Bon Scott. The album, a tribute to Bon, ironically sounds exactly like him. Fans and insiders have argued for decades. Are we hearing Brian Johnson sing Bon Scott's final stolen words? The speed of the replacement was cold. Brian Johnson was hired weeks later. The band's justification? Bon would have wanted it. But Back in Black went on to become the second best-selling album of all time. The band became global superstars without the man who got them there. The young brothers and fellow AC/DC members, Angus and Malcolm, have remained notoriously silent on the details. They stick to the official story, batting away any questions about heroin, stolen lyrics, or the gaping holes in the timeline. Their silence, to many, feels less like grief and more like a pact. Let's call it what many researchers now believe it is, not misadventure. The author Jesse Fink, in his definitive book Bon, The Last Highway, lays out a chilling case. He argues Bon Scott did die of a heroin overdose, suffocating on his own vomit, and that Alistair Kinnear and Silver Smith, in a drug-fueled panic, left him for dead. This isn't an accident. This is, at best, criminal negligence. Bon was 33, not 27, but his death echoes the tragedies of Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison, artists who died in mysterious circumstances, their stories clouded by witnesses who lied, evidence that vanished, and friends who had too much to lose. Bon's death is the last great unsolved mystery of 70s rock. The official story is full of holes. The truth is buried under 40 years of fame, fortune, and silence. Was Bon Scott a casualty of his own demons? Or was he a liability who was allowed to die? Or worse, whose final creative works were stolen, forming the foundation of his band's greatest success? The mystery of what really happened in that cold Renault 5 remains Bon Scott's final haunting secret. Enjoying our deep dives into rock and roll's history? Please drop us a like and a subscribe to support the channel, and feel free to click one of the videos on your screen to continue learning about classic rock's dark past. See you there.